Hey everybody, welcome to the Tarot Room. My name is Robyn. So yes, I'm a talking head on this video. So this video is going to be slightly different. It's not actually a tarot card reading. This video is going to be about me and society. So the reason, and I'm very comfortable to make this video, I'll be very honest with you. But there have been comments. I made a comment in one of my last tarot readings about my second spiritual awakening. You know, I'm twice born. And I talk a lot about anger and resentment on this channel. And as well, the times that we're in right now, there's a lot of fear and questions, and I never really talked about it, but I will go into what my consciousness perceives and how I see the changes and the things that are going on. I'll timestamp the things, so if you don't care about me and my spiritual awakening and you just care about the new earth or the frequency split, you can pop over there. But I'll timestamp them in the description box in the comment section. And to those who want to hear, thank you for listening, and I'll share my story with you. So, as those on this channel know, I was kind of just sick. I was like really sick. I lost like 15 pounds, so I'm not happy about that, but you know, I'll gain the weight back. But so I was pretty sick for the last couple of weeks, and I do feel it's because I fell off my path. I fell off my way. I kind of made a few mistakes along the journey, right? As are you. I am just a human, and I'm learning as I go through this journey called life. So a lot of you had asked the question here over the last, I'm going to say 7 or 8 months, about how my move went. Did I like where I'm living now? Did the move go smoothly? And I actually, as weirdly as it is, I didn't respond or address it at all because I wasn't ready to. I was still angry about what had happened, and I was holding on to what had happened. And so I'll share that with you. And it's just to talk about how holding on to resentment can hurt us, right? As are you, I'm human, and I was having a really hard time letting go of what that real estate agent did to my son. Because the reason that I was moving was for my son. I've only lived in this house, lived in this city for 2.5 years. At that time, 1.5 years. So I haven't lived here that long. And when we moved here and I put my son in public school, kids decided they didn't like him. It had never happened. He'd never been bullied or picked on before, but he was. He was bullied and he was picked on and he was physically assaulted in the schoolyard. And so I watched a very happy 13-year-old turn into a very sad and depressed 13-year-old. And as his mother, that was really difficult to watch his confidence just completely diminish because of the way that those children were treating him. So I pulled him from public school, and I'm now a homeschooling mom. And you know, the teachers in Ontario, they go on strike all the time. We're used to homeschooling. COVID, it wasn't that big of an adjustment. And my son prefers to be homeschooled, but I wanted my son in school, right? And I was born in the 80s. I grew up in the 90s. So education's important, but there's so many resources now. My son's education is great, and I'm teaching him. And being that my son is dyslexic and he's high functioning autistic, I'm probably the best teacher for him to have the patience to learn certain things that he struggles with. So I know his strengths, I know his weaknesses, I'm his mother. So I'm probably the best teacher anyway. So we've adjusted in that sense. However, where we are is new. I'm not from here, I don't live here, didn't grow up here, you know, and when we joined the homeschooling groups, there's just not a lot of teenagers that homeschool in this area. So I was looking to move him to somewhere where there were a lot of homeschooling kids and he can, you know, interact with other kids like him. And when I listed my house, I did it at a 4% commission, which I thought was normal. That's what it was where I lived. And here where I live, it's not normal. They expect a 5 or a 6% commission, and the agents will deter buyers from your home. And that's what happened. They got sued in America. You guys went through this big change. They're being sued in Canada. We're going to go through it again. So they did it to me and my son, and I was very angry that they did that to him. It was hard as a mother to do that and to see that. But, and I was, honestly guys, I was holding on to that. I hadn't really forgiven that agent. You know, as a father, so how could he do that to a child? I didn't understand for 1%. So I was upset, and I held on to that, and I had fallen off my way. And in the month of December, I had actually, I'm a vegetarian. I don't really talk about that, but I don't eat meat and do follow the way of the Buddha. And I had actually eaten some meat in December, and I had actually had alcohol, and those are two things that are not part of my life. They're not typically part of my life. And I'd fallen off my path. I'd fallen off from who I was and how I see things and how I want to be. And I was doing that because I was holding on. I wasn't letting go. And unfortunately, my body kind of just gave me a little smack in the face to put me back on track. Because for me as a consciousness, those aren't right. I don't want to, those are just things I don't do. No judgment if you do, that's your choice. I actually believe that meat is going to be based on your blood type as to whether you do or do not need it. And based on my blood type and my consciousness, meat is not good for me. But I know and I acknowledge it's good for others. So stay true to you. That's the point of what I'm saying. And if I'm going to stay true to me, I'm not going to eat meat and I'm not going to drink alcohol. Those are two things that they don't sit well with me. I don't like drunk Robyn. I am a Sagittarius. I'm a stellium in Sagittarius. Got 4 planets there, and so I don't. I don't like who I am when I have alcohol in my system. So I prefer the sober life. So, I did get sick, and during the 14 days that I literally laid in bed and I did a lot of meditation and a lot of contemplation and a lot of sleeping, and I did have my second spiritual awakening. I did, everything inside of me changed and everything inside of me kind of clicked, and I had fallen off and I wasn't following the path of what I believe, right? Especially in the time that we're in, which is why I'm sharing this. I don't talk a lot about it and I'm not that comfortable talking about it. But I know a lot of you had asked how the move went, and I didn't respond, and I do apologize. I thought it was rude, but when someone's not over something, I couldn't talk about it, and I didn't want to. So that's why I didn't actually move. And I got so caught up in that as opposed to the great things about where we are. Because the fact is, my son is happy now, and we have our 2 doodles who have made a huge difference for my son and for myself in our life, and we have a house we love, and we live close to the beach and things, right? So there's a lot of beautiful things here. I had just gotten caught off track, and I was focusing on the thing that didn't go my way and the person that hurt me and my son, and I was upset about that. So I have learned to forgive and let go. I believe in the Tao, I believe in karma, I believe in principle, cause and effect, and each person will deal with the consequences of the choices that they make. And I did deal with those consequences, and I got pretty sick there. But it was what was meant to happen to me, because I needed to get back on track. I needed that clarity. I needed that awakening and that understanding, and applying it, right? I understood it, but I wasn't applying it to myself, and I was holding on. I'm human, and it happens to the best of us, right? It's just about learning from that and moving forward, which is what I'm doing, what I have done. And I'm no longer holding on to that. And I was able to release that resentment that I was holding on to that real estate agent for him doing that to my son. I think it bothered me the most because he's a father, he has a kid. Why would you do that? But it is what it is. So when I was sick and when I was laying in bed, as I mentioned in a couple of readings, maybe just one, that I did go through my second spiritual awakening, and a lot more things inside of me have clicked. And the path that I'm on is kind of a completely different path than where I was heading. And that's a beautiful thing, right? Evolution, growing, adapting, understanding yourself, and making those changes. So one of the big things that clicked, as a tarot card reader, and when you read the tarot, we have a lot of general knowledge, right? We understand astrology, we understand numerology. I studied, the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, the traditions of the Golden Dawn. I went through this whole path in my life when I first woke up, the Hermetics and principle of Hermetics and understanding symbolism. And you have a lot of that general knowledge, but never deep dived into a lot of the other things other than Hermetics and symbolism. And, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And this monk appeared on YouTube, and I've seen him before. One of my favorite YouTube channels is called Awakened By, and it does a lot of Qigong and Tai Chi and self-healing techniques, activating the Qi and the universal intelligence within us, which I've always been interested in, but I never did that deep dive. I never really went too deep into it. And I saw this monk, and I might butcher his name, and if I do, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure it's Shi Yang Yi, and he has a channel called Shaolin.online, but a lot of his videos and his shorts are like on the channels called like the Mulligan Brothers and Awakened By and things like that. So I've seen him all around YouTube, but I never really looked into him. I was just there, this dude is just on YouTube. I saw a short a few times, okay. And for some reason I was really ready to look into him and to look into the traditions of the Shaolin monks and the Shaolin belief systems. And so for me now, during my second awakening and where my consciousness is, I'm really following into the mysticism of Buddha and Buddhism and Hinduism and the traditions of the Shaolin, and I'm really going down that path. I even started Kung Fu. But yeah, so my son and I are now doing Shaolin Kung Fu together. My son's already a purple belt in karate, and he's teaching me. He knows how to punch and things. I don't know how to do that. I don't. But now we do. So I'm learning, that part of strength and strengthening the physical body, not just the mind. And I'm learning how to strengthen my mind. So my consciousness and my spiritual awakening has really brought me down a new path, and a path of, and it'll come out in my readings for sure, because I'm a book addict. If you want to know what I'm addicted to, it's buying books. I have a problem. I have a problem. So I have several books now on the traditions of the Shaolin and how to activate and do the healing using the Qi and using Qigong and some healing techniques. And I'm incorporating those into my life more religiously and structured and disciplined than I did before. Like I said, I fell off track. So at night, instead of maybe meditating or doing my Qigong, I was just kind of watching Property Brothers and having a few drinks, and that is not my way. I love the Property Brothers, don't get me wrong. The alcohol part is not my way. I'm still going to watch the Property Brothers sometimes, but you don't want to overindulge and you don't want to do things too much. You want to create that balance, and I don't feel I had that balance, and I feel my body was correcting me. And the reason that I feel it was correcting me is because of the time that we're in. So I'm going to move now over into talking about, so I know people in the New Age community will call it the New Earth. People in my world and my community will call it the frequency split. I've heard people call it the reset, the harvest. There's different words for it. Christians will call it the end times. And everybody will call it something different, but ultimately it's kind of the same thing. And, the way that the Shaolin monk, Shi Yang He worded it is so much more profound, right? And he had a short, and it's funny because he says, the way that he speaks is going to relate to some people. The way that Joe Rogan speaks is going to relate to other people. The way I speak is going to relate to other people. We all speak differently and use these different terms, but ultimately we're all sharing the same message. And that's what's important, is getting the message out there, because there's nothing to fear but fear itself. We're all immortal beings. We'll all continue through. It just depends where our consciousness is in this life and how this change in times is going to go for each one of us. So for me, I buy into the concept of the frequency split. That's how I've always perceived it, and that's how I've always looked at it. Your frequency is going to determine how this transition goes for you. And there's certain things that you can do to raise your frequency, and there's certain things that you can do to lower your frequency. I do feel food and what we put into our body is very important right now. I mean, I've never seen so many E. coli recalls and processed food recalls, and there's just so many recalls and so much problem with our food source. And it's up to us to make sure we're eating as clean as possible and keeping our body as vibrant and vital and healthy as possible. That's physically, emotionally, and mentally. So the way that I perceive these times as the frequency split is let me say this, how it's going to go for you is your frequency. If you're seeing violent things in front of you, they're happening in front of you, your frequency needs to be raised. If you're hearing it about the news, but you're not actually experiencing it in your life, your frequency is on the right track. So, if this game of life has 12 frequencies, let's say 0 to 5 are being removed from the game. So if you're in frequency 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's an element of needing to raise that. If you're starting to see these things happen, you're starting to get sick, you're starting to experience the lower vibration energy, it's because you gotta raise that frequency, and you gotta get your body clean, your mind clean, and your heart clean. And I do believe that that is the best way, in my opinion, in my perspective, and the way that my consciousness is, to look at the changes that we're going through. When Shi Yang He, when the Taoist, the monk, was talking about it in his shorts, he said the way he perceives it and the way he looks at it is the old world is dying, and we got to do things differently. We need to change, and we need to adapt. It's not just the strong that survive, it's those that are able to adapt. But not everybody's able to adapt. Not everybody's capable of changing. Not everybody wants to change. But this is the time to change, and these are the times to make those changes within yourself. Right? The change, you don't, like Michael Jackson taught us, right? You don't change the world by changing everybody else. You change the world by changing yourself. And when you change yourself, and when you increase that frequency, and when you go through those adaptations and that evolution within yourself, then you're able to project that out into the world, and you're able to see and perceive things differently. Some of us want to help others. Some of us want to help people along their journey. And those helps and those assistants are going to happen in different ways, right? Some people are going to be more of a Reiki. You're going to heal people through energy healing. Some people are going to be frequency healers. Some people are going to be counselors. Some people therapists. Some people tarot card readers, right? Everybody has their little piece to the puzzle, and everybody has their way of forming their way. And there's no right or wrong. There's just what's right or wrong for you. So I don't want to pump fear, right? Because they do feel that there's so much fear. There's too much fear because they want you in fear, because that is a frequency that is low. And when you're in the fear and you're worried and you're anxious and you're uncertain, it does lower that frequency. It does cloud you in doubt, and it does stop you maybe from seeing the truth, realizing or acknowledging the truth. And that truth is your truth, and what you believe is what you believe. So again, the way that I perceive it is a frequency split. And there are going to be changes. There are going to be truths coming through. There are people who know how to use and harness the power of the stars and the power of these conjunctions and these alignments. And there's good and bad. We live in a dual world, baby, right? So there's good witches, bad witches, good wizards, bad wizards. There's good and bad out there. And it's just differentiating which side and which, don't take a side, let me rephrase that. It's which teaching you align your consciousness with. Right? And my consciousness teachings have changed. They're not the same. 10 years ago, I didn't even know what a Shaolin monk was. I was all into hermetics, and it was all about Hermes and hermetics and understanding this realm and understanding my mind. And now I've evolved a little bit more, and I fully understand hermetics, and I'm not so sure there's a lot more there for me to learn. There's still things to master and within myself, but I understand the teachings. I understand what Hermes was saying. And now I've kind of moved on to different teachings and to different depths of them and digging deeper into them and understanding them. And as you go along your journey, you're going to evolve and you're going to change and you're going to connect with different readings and different readers and different teachings as you go through your journey. But I just wanted to briefly talk about and explain what I think is going on in the world. And I don't think there's anything to fear. I think a lot of the people, if you're here watching this message, you're on the right path, you're heading down the right journey, you're on the right frequency to receive this. Because if you're not, then you're not going to receive this. I put those protections around me and my readings when I put them out on YouTube. What I talk about isn't meant for everybody, and some people aren't meant to receive it. And when they get there and they're not meant to receive it, they like attack me in the comment section. It's kind of funny because I'm at that point where it's all good. That's a reflection of them. And sometimes I do let them get to me, and that's okay. I'll just reset and learn from that experience because, and so you just reset and learn, you just forgive yourself. That's all you can do, right? And a lot of us hold on to the mistakes that we've made. A lot of us hold on to the mistakes that others have made, and I've done that as well, and that's why I'm sharing this. But you just got to forgive, you just got to move forward, you just got to keep your vibration high and just understand that not everybody is going to change. And when the frequency split happens and as things transpire and as your frequency rises, people are going to fall out of your life. People are going to be removed from your life. Certain teachings, certain ideologies, certain ways, that certain behaviors, actions, thoughts, those are going to leave behind. And that's okay. You and those people, you and those actions, using those thoughts are just on a different journey. And each of us are on our own journey and we're on our own path. And everything happens in the right time for each one of us. So, the point of this is just don't fear the things that are coming. It's all about adapting and changing to new ways of doing things. I think better ways of doing things where we prioritize our spirituality and our consciousness and our growth within. And so the most important message that I can relay here is to raise your frequency. My frequency was too low. I was doing things that was harming my body. I was doing things that was harming my mind. And I understand and I see that. And I just learned from that. My body kind of, like I said, it popped me into bed. It made me reset. And my body's done that to me before as well when I stopped eating meat. And I stopped eating meat during my first spiritual awakening. It's not aligned with me and what I believe. And I always was like that. And I was a kid. I never ate it. My parents tried to make me eat meat and I would chew it and I would spit it out and I would refuse to eat it. I was just never a meat eater. And my son is the same. He was born a vegetarian, right? So, and again, when I looked into it, our blood type is not suitable for us. Your blood type, it could be suitable for you. But if it doesn't feel wrong, or if it doesn't feel right, or if it feels wrong, listen to your body. If it feels right, listen to your body. But it's just about being clear about what's right for you. And again, raising that frequency as high as you can. And as long as you're doing that and evolving and changing and learning, I do believe that we will make it through to the other side. I believe we'll make it to the golden age. I believe we'll make it to a better place. And I also believe we're on that timeline. I felt a lot of shifts. I felt a lot of changes. And I believe that we're heading in the right direction. But in order to get there, there's going to be things that we experience and that we see. And hopefully they're not happening in front of you. And again, if they are, I urge you to look into ways to raise that frequency and make sure you're on the right path for you and yourself. And you can't change. You can't worry about what other people do, what they think, what they say, the way that they act, the way that they behave. And there's going to be a lot of people behaving in, well, we see a lot of people behaving in very interesting manners, allowing anger and resentment to control them and to control their actions. And those are the lessons that they'll learn. Hopefully they'll learn and not continue to do that. And if they do continue to do that, then they will experience some consequences for that, whether it's this life or the next. So I don't want to make it too long. That's just what I want to say. So the way that I perceive these changes is a frequency split, and there are changes. So keep your vibe high, come from a place of love, and learn from your mistakes. And don't get too hard on yourself, because you're going to make them. Even if you're at the top of this game, level 12, you're a master, you're still going to make choices that don't turn out the best for you. And that's okay. Learn from it. The only issue is when you don't learn from it and you continue to make the same choice, then you've really made a mistake, and you got to learn from that mistake to escape that loop. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that you stuck around, talked about that. I don't know how long I'm going to leave this up. I'll vibe that. I'll feel that. It probably won't be left up for so long, just until I feel that those who needed to receive this message, or those of you who are curious about my move and about my spiritual awakenings, receive the message. So I truly wish you guys the best of luck. Until next time.